Excuse me, can I get a picture of your shoes? Stilettos.
Those are pretty cool. Don't get rid of them. I can wear them. Hey guys, News Now California out in the city of Los Angeles. I am at the federal building. I'm out here today with No Thanks, and we were not headed to this location, but it just so happens there's going to be a big news conference because the case today is against the individual who sold Mac Miller, the rapper, all those bad drugs. So that's where we're at right now. We're waiting. And it's supposed to start in about I think 20 minutes. That's what we've been told. And as you can see, here's KTLA 5. There's also Telemundo is across the street. CBS News truck is down the street also. And we were talking earlier with the individual who mentioned that this news lady here, I'm not sure of her name, but if you call her name the wrong name, she gets upset. So I can't remember what her name was. It was Corinne or Corinne, and you're supposed to call her the right one, because if you call her the name she isn't, she gets upset. So I don't know. I don't know if it's Corinne or Corinne or whoever she is.
She's still asleep?
No, she awoken. She arisen. She's awake. Oh, they got a nice little workstation back in there. They got a desk, a chair, a phone, a lot of cool stuff.
What was her name again?
Her name was Corinne or Corinne. But you got to call her right name, because this guy says she'll get pissed off.
She's awake now, though.
She's awake now. She had her nap. Okay, No Thanks found out it's not Corinne, it's Corinne. Corinne?
I don't know. I think you just said it backwards now to screw me up. It's Corinne.
Corinne, that's what I said. It's not Corinne.
No, yeah, Corinne.
It's Corinne.
Yeah. And not to call her what?
Connie.
Connie.
That's radio. I don't mind if they park on this side only because the right. And then the employee section, the kid drop-off zone too. Yeah. I mean, the car that was behind me is median too. Cool. Appreciate it, man. I'll let him know. You're good.
Excuse me, can I get a picture of your shoes? Stilettos.
Those are pretty cool. Don't get rid of them. I can wear them.
Yeah, Phil, you could get on rides at Disney.
Are you from another country?
Yeah.
What country?
Berlin.
Oh, nice. You're just on vacation? Just by yourself?
Yeah.
Very nice.
No clue what you're saying.
Okay,
Stop
you
yelling
speak
at
a little English, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. You're dressed perfectly. Enjoy the day.
Thank you.
Bye.
You too. Bye.
Okay, that was a visitor from Berlin. Boy, that's a look that says there's a 2% chance that she enjoyed my conversation and a 98% chance she's walking to get a restraining order.
I was vulnerable too.
She was from Berlin, and being Jewish, she didn't look like she wanted to shoot me.
Why does it matter?
reasonable. Why does it matter? Oh, just, you know, I always wonder.
Are you from KNX 1070?
That's kind of like asking, does a frog have a watertight butt?
Then why
or
don't you
did
get back to work, pal? Later.
Later?
Back to work. Mainstream media.
Goodbye.
Peace out, bitch.
Behave yourself.
You heard me. Walk. Hey Phil, every time that jackass asks a question, let's ask a question too.
In theory, it's really
Why would we take pictures of another journalist? I don't mean to be Captain Obvious, but I want to.
Where is it? Where is that?
Oh, is that a joke? Really? Okay. Is it on Van Nuys Boulevard? Okay. So it's on Ventura Boulevard. After the show.
I want to work this building the last day.
Yeah.
And I would get it for 10 years.
Yeah.
So,
You don't want to work with Kale your last day? Come
I
on.
want to survive. Because I'm killing somebody alive. So, I'm going to work for that.
That was $28.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Get out and do it. And then
Sam and Mark and everybody.
I did.
Because I remember the days when we didn't know the camera. They'd be asking me questions. Yeah.
That was better than
He was part of the show.
better than
Yeah.
I got more weight.
Yeah.
I had radius.
Yeah,
This building was a,
I could have got that.
one time we went to football and tennis.
You can't believe how quick we're going to be. Good afternoon, my name's Tom Rozek. I'm the spokesman for the United States Attorney's Office here in Los Angeles. I'm joined by Matt Jacobs and Kyle Morey from the DEA. Both of those people will make short statements as soon as I conclude it. Today we are announcing the arrest of Cameron James Pettit. He's a Hollywood Hills man who has been charged with federal narcotics trafficking offenses in relation to last year's death of Malcolm James McCormick, better known by his stage name Mac Miller. Mr. Pettit allegedly sold drugs to Mr. Miller 2 days before his overdose death. The criminal complaint that was unsealed today in this case alleges that among the narcotics that Mr. Pettit sold were counterfeit oxycodone pills. These are pills that appear to be pharmaceutical drugs, but in fact were counterfeit and contained fentanyl. The investigation in this case revealed that it appears that Mac Miller snorted this fentanyl concoction prior to his overdose death. This is a one-count criminal complaint against Mr. Pettit. He is scheduled to make his first court appearance upstairs in the Roybal building this afternoon. He will not be asked to enter a plea today. The main items on the court's docket will be whether or not he gets out on bail. The government, I believe, will be asking for his detention, meaning we'll be asking that he be held without bail. If Mr. Pettit were to be convicted of this charge, he would face up to 20 years in federal prison. We can't add a lot more detail to this case because it is an ongoing investigation. The matter has not yet been presented to a grand jury. But after these two statements from my colleagues here, I'll take a couple of questions and we'll take it from there.
My name is Matthew Jacobs and I'm an assistant United States attorney here in Los Angeles. I'm prosecuting the case against Cameron Pettit. Unfortunately, this is not the first fentanyl overdose case that we've charged here in Los Angeles. Fentanyl is a killer, and it's never more deadly than when it's disguised to look like a genuine pharmaceutical pill. This case involves another tragic death. We've seen too many tragic deaths. And if there's anything to take away from this, it's that people should know that if they consume black market opioid pills, they're playing Russian roulette. The pill may look real, but it could be a genuine pill, or it could be laced with something that leaves them dead on the spot.
Kyle?
Thank you. My name is Kyle Morey, spokesperson for DEA Los Angeles. I think today's arrest, while tragic, highlights the continued great work of our Height of Fusion Task Force. Our Height of Fusion Task Force is made up of DEA agents, local law enforcement officers, and other federal agencies working in concert with our U.S. Attorney's Office to investigate opioid-related deaths from the time of death through prosecution. And this is yet another good example of the great work by those men and women to bring Mr. Pettit to justice today. I think this also highlights the continued issue we're having in the LA community and around our country with counterfeit pharmaceuticals. These are pharmaceuticals that are manufactured primarily in Mexico by the Mexican drug cartels for 75 cents to $1.50 per pill, sold on the streets of Los Angeles for $20 or more per pill. The problem is, instead of being a legitimate pharmaceutical prescribed by a doctor, in many cases it's pure fentanyl. And if people take 2 or 3 of them expecting to get the effects of an oxycodone pill, they're getting 2 or 3 pills of pure fentanyl and dying immediately. It's an issue that we're continuing to address here in Los Angeles as the DEA, working with our federal partners, our local partners, and also the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Questions?
Yes, there are two other people named in the complaint. Are they facing any charges?
There are two other individuals who allegedly are responsible for supplying Mac Miller with narcotics. They have not been charged at this time. As I stated earlier, this is an ongoing investigation. The DEA is continuing to review evidence and other factors that could result in additional charges, but I just want to emphasize, only Mr. Pettit faces federal charges at this time.
Why only a distribution charge? Why not something to where you have a person who's providing the drugs to them and they die as a result, an accessory to murder or a murder? Is that possible?
So under federal law, there is a provision that would allow us to, in certain circumstances, to make an allegation that a drug dealer supplied narcotics that led to a death. That has not been alleged at this time. This is an ongoing investigation, and that allegation could be added once we get to the time of indictment. That's all I can say at this point.
How big
How
a supplier was Pettit? How important in his drug business, and how we know how long he was associated with that?
Sure, you got that? The complaint alleges that Pettit supplied drugs to Mr. Miller for a period of several months. Beyond that, the complaint that's public doesn't go into further detail, but as Tom mentioned, the investigation is ongoing.
Dave.
Why is this a federal case?
Why don't you handle that?
Sure. Like I said earlier, this is a result of investigation by our High Diffusion Task Force. The purpose of this task force is to combine basically the cross-series designation of various DEA title groups, special agents, diversion investigators, intelligence analysts, with the skills of our local law enforcement, to combine those skills to take an investigation from time of death through today, through the arrest. One of the advantages that we've seen are the sentencing guidelines that are faced. So there's a number of factors that go into that decision, but it's primarily the work of our federal agents with our counterparts, as well as the advantage of the federal sentencing guidelines for similar type crimes.
And you probably answered.
Dave.
I'll follow real quick. I think Pete asked it, but as this investigation goes on, is it possible that Pettit will be charged with murder? Or
No,
just accessory?
I'm not going to speculate on what he might be charged with in the future. As of right now, he faces one federal charge of distribution of controlled substances. We'll see what happens as the investigation continues. That's all I can say right now.
Do you think you'll be hearing from other people now that his name is out there?
That is not uncommon in these situations, that other people who may have been victimized in a fraud case, that may have suffered death or serious injury as a result of ingesting of drugs or whatever, that's not uncommon. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it certainly could. So we're going to wrap it up. Mr. Pettit, again, is expected to appear sometime this afternoon. I hate to tell you this, but it appears that he is late in the processing today. Once he's booked in by the Marshal Service, a pre-trial services officer needs to do a report. It appears that hasn't been done yet, so he may not be appearing in front of a magistrate until 4 or 5 or possibly even later. So, for those of you that are here, I'm sorry. For those of you that are leaving, my office will send out an advisory and we'll probably do a tweet once we find out what happened in court today. Again, he will not be asked to enter a plea. A future court date will be set. And perhaps most importantly for him, he will find out whether or not he is ordered detained or whether or not bail will be set in the case. Thank you very much.
Have you heard from Matt Miller's family?
Where was he arrested?
Well, I don't know. If he gets sentenced, I hope I could maybe get his coffee table or computer.
Do you have the press release? Yes.
Look at the top. It's on the top of that. Somebody took it up right now. Okay.
Possibly he could be charged with their deaths as well.
Give me a second.
Yeah.
Is there any other people that he could be charged with causing death? Hey, Tom, any idea what he paid for these drugs when the exchange was made?
Did we detail that in the affidavit? I don't remember seeing that.
No.
Well, so Pettit, there was a transaction with Pettit. There was a secondary transaction involving the two women. there is a dollar figure that is laid out. It's $365.
Yeah, about that.
So Pettit did not have face-to-face contact with this guy. Was it too?
No. Basically, here's the gist of it. Mac Miller wants to buy drugs. He reaches out to Pettit. Pettit doesn't immediately respond. He reaches out to this other woman. Essentially, they land at the recording studio where the drugs are delivered within an hour of each other, roughly at the same time. So there's sort of two separate transactions that take place. And if you read it, it's all laid out.
And where was Pettit at this time? Was he at the scene or he was outside?
Yeah, he arrives, and then the woman arrives several hours after the email, after the texting communication.
So 300, 350.
For the drugs delivered by the women, we don't detail the amount of money.
And the amount of money, that portion of the affidavit is included to show the connection between Pettit and Joey, not necessarily dollars.
You figure about a 7-month operation between two.
No, you've been
Between Pettit and
Well, the paperwork talks about a several month period. It may go back.
We're talking
several
about
months
an
between
detention.
Pettit and Magnolia. Sorry. Okay. My question is, what dollar amount would you be comfortable with?
I can tell you is they haven't been charged. It's not going to investigate.
What a search warrant has allowed.
So there's a criminal complaint that I put out with an affidavit. There's a series of search warrants that has the same affidavit underneath it. It's basically one master document that led to an arrest and a series of searches conducted this morning.
So the searches were already conducted
Yes, they were.
at those addresses.
Yep. All laid out in the paperwork.
Would you call them a
I'm not going to characterize it. They haven't been charged, so I'm not going to characterize it. You see, there are allegations made in the paperwork about what they did in terms of providing drugs to the
So my other question
speaks for itself.
provided the drugs that were counterfeit, right?
Correct.
But they provided
Other narcotics.
other narcotics that were.
So legitimate what appears to be legitimate
Is that why
oxycodone.
you're not charging them, or?
Not going to say right now.
Are there any other victims that you guys know of?
Interpret it how you want, but yeah, the investigation.
We can't speak to that right now.
You know, we don't know.
28, not 23.
There's a bad version of the press release floating
All
around.
right, so 28.
The DEA version is bad.
Good version?
We'll report that.
We redid the math
28
today.
years old.
It's 28 years old.
Thank you.
The DEA confirmed that this is the Instagram version of the little
No. Our DEA guys, it was investigators.
This is the Instagram profile identified in the affidavit.
Where those messages were.
But no,
you have
that's
the other one.
the last thing you said is a leap too far. That the messages were necessarily between this Instagram account and something else. That's what the affidavit says.
What does the affidavit say?
That they're text messages.
Text messages. Okay, but are these photos of him though? That's related to the.
Yes.
Yeah, that's him.
But
Okay.
you referred in the affidavit to pictures posted on Mia first.
But then you click on the one that he's tagged in that and it brings you to that stuff.
Yeah. But I'm just saying,
So equivalent.
we just want to be, because it's in the.
Okay. All right, you're going to court.
All right.
Okay, thanks, gentlemen.
Thanks so much.
Kyle, or you guys for an update? I know you said you were going to tweet.
I'll send out something when it's done. My point is that Raymond not here until 6 o'clock. He's going to go upstairs and sit and wait. So I presume there's no way this can happen. Put it that way. When is it going to happen? Don't know.
Because we have a warrant. No, I think it's Bill. Yeah, sketch artist. You see, he's up there.
I'll go up and talk to him.
Let him know.
I'll go up and tell him.
He's up there. I saw. Oh yeah, he's gonna be like, what? Would you mind telling me?
Sorry.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, I'm sorry, buddy.
People making fun of me for that because I don't have a stand up here. You don't want to answer my questions.
You look good.
Thank you.
I'm Nancy.
Hi, Nancy. Oh, I was in the attorney's office there for 4 years. Yeah, I think it's very
Totally.
The story shall continue. News Now, California. I'm out of here. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye now. Bye now.